Make sure left foot comes with you. In other words, we don't want to leave that left hip back. Roll the shoulders up and back, strong belly. Exhale, hinging forward. Now pay attention to your elbows. They want to start to come collapsing in. Think of pulling the shoulders back, and as you do, the elbows will lift a little bit. Hinging over the right leg, finding a sense of evenness in the lower back. You can let the head go down too. And this is a perfect place to stay. And we'll all meet right back here. If you'd like to practice Ikapada, the one-legged swan, follow along with me. We bend the right knee. Now right away I start to lift the torso. I want my torso above my hips. Hinging forward, start to think of lifting the left leg. Left leg I want above my head. But you've got to keep the right leg bent to find that arch in the spine. So keep lifting, keep the right knee bent. One more breath. And we release, returning to that pyramid pose. Last one there. Release the hands to the floor. Take one final stretch here and step the right foot back. We'll come down to the knees here and move into forearm plank pose. Once you're down, extend the body long, lengthen the tailbone, but lift up in the hips so there's no sagging. Working into 40 Kapalabhatis. Inhale first, exhale, half an inhale, and begin. Five, four, three, two, one. Lower down, a little Sphinx pose. Roll the shoulders up and back. Find a sense of relaxation here. Inhale, exhale. Again, inhale and exhale. All right, so another time we'll need the block. We're going to take a little mini break from the second side. We're going to move into either safe headstand or Pincha Mayurasana. If you have something else you like to do, handstands, headstand, and you know what you're doing, feel free to go into that. I'm just going to teach this Pincha Mayurasana and safe headstand real quick. So for the Pincha Mayurasana, that's this one where you're in a forearm stand and you lift both legs up. You can use your block to help guide you. You can also take your strap and put it right above the elbow crease. So don't go way up here into the tricep. It's actually at the elbow crease, but not underneath. So notice I'm above. All right, and then you flip the palms like that. So this is what you'll look like at the wall. You would come to the wall, on the floor of course, and push in like that. So I'm not sure how good this is for on the video to see, but if you can see, I'm pushing the block into the wall, forearms are down on the floor, lifting one leg. I want to try to get my legs as close to my elbow line as I can, so that may mean bent legs. And then my hips are already in a place where I can lift up. All right, in Pincha Mayurasana, we lift the head so we're looking up. And it's a little bit of a counterbalance pose. Now in safe headstand, we don't lift the head. It's almost the same thing. We interlace the fingers. So on the floor, it looks like this. Fingertips, knuckles, touch the wall. The same thing. We come up, bent knees. I want to get my hips as close to coming over my shoulders as I can. And then I lift up. And when I lift up, my head dangles. I'm not touching the floor at all. I'm finding that place where, see, this is sagging. I'm pushing away, and I get to let my head dangle. It's a really nice therapeutic exercise for your shoulders. But you want to make sure you're safely in it, so you're pushing away to lift up. If you haven't done it much, probably not a good idea to practice at home by yourself. You can wait until we're back in person classes, but you can always get the same benefit almost by being in your dolphin pose, but letting the head drop. All right, so play with that for another about 30 seconds. And using your kind inner dialogue, nice words. And part of that, a big part of it, is to be able to clear the cloudiness in the mind so that you can hear and see the wisdom, especially in these poses that can be a little precarious if you're not doing them correctly. And we want to listen to our body if it's telling us to not do something especially. And let's make our way out of it. Take a little breather. And then come on back, downward facing dog. Just pedal it out a little bit. Find nice big stretches. Big inhales, big exhales. And we'll start to work through left side. Left leg lifts, stack the hips, bend the knee. The idea is to lift your head and look over your left shoulder as if you were looking for your foot. Already you ought to be able to talk to your right shoulder. Is this okay? If it's not, then come out of it. If it is and you want to flip, okay. If you're not flipping, maybe you want to just do a little side plank. And then come on back. Left leg stays lifted. We twist underneath. Left knee to right armpit. Send it back, one-legged dog. Left knee forward to nose, tuck and round. Send it back, one-legged dog. Left knee to the outside of the left arm. So hover and hold here. That is plenty of work. If you're taking your balancing pose, go for it. Just hinge forward, extending the legs. All right, come back, plant the left foot to the outside of the left hand, still on the ball of the right foot. Big twist to the left. So automatically, there's a whole checklist that my mind's going through because I've done it so many times. And it does take a lot of effort mentally. Automatically, I'm saying, is my right shoulder okay? Am I sagging into my right shoulder? Am I twisting? Am I pulling my left hip crease back? Now keep the twist. Drop the right knee down. And in this twist, see how it would feel to start to bend the right knee. And if it feels good, we start to very mindfully work the heel towards the hip. I'm still having that same dialogue. Shoulder, ear, shoulder, left hip crease back. Taking another breath. Let go of the leg if you had it. And just walk inside the left foot. Gently drop the left knee open. See how that feels. Maybe I want to encourage a little tiny bit of openness by gently pushing the knee open. Another breath. Flatten the foot. Toe walk inside a little bit. So we come to center. Then inhale, lift up. Interlacing hands, left thumb on top if it's okay. If not, you just leave them open. And lift up so we're hugging the arms towards the ear and then hinging back into this little back bend. As I hinge, I'm very aware that my left hip is not coming forward. Pulling the left hip back, lifting up out of both hips. And then drawing back up center. Let's go ahead and extend the left leg. Hanuman on this side. So maybe this is the perfect place to hang out and you're working with pulling the toes back. Just adds an extra element into particularly the calf muscles. So if you want to go a little deeper and your body says it's fine, well, then we go ahead. Always keeping with integrity of the pose. So that would mean not twisting open to the right. Wherever you are, another 2 breaths. And we start to toe walk back into that square kneeling. Tuck your right toes under, lifting up, cactus lunge. Once you're up, inhale, expand and drop towards right knee. Exhale, contract to come back up. Inhale, expand to drop. Exhale, contract to lift. Last one. Take it down. And as you come up, think warrior 1. So we come up, we step the right foot out and center a little bit. Left arm on top once or twice for your eagle arms. Make sure to snuggle that left shoulder down because there's a tendency to have the left shoulder lifted up here. All right, so we want to find in this warrior one position that we're really settling down, pulling the left hip crease back, trying to get the left thigh towards parallel. Elbows only. Inhale, lift. Exhale, lower. Inhale, elbows up. Exhale, elbows down. Now let's see if we can take it up one more time. And as you come down, can you snuggle just the tiniest bit more? Right leg circles, maybe dangling, but it's still a squat. Maybe touching, still a squat, or double wrapping, certainly a squat. Sinking down, trying to even the hips. And this is where having a drishti is so important, and that's why we try to lower the fingertips as best we can. Keeping belly pulled in now. Ready? Eagle 3. So the right knee lifts, extend long, internal rotation, right thigh. As we start to open the arms, we tip towards the right, opening up, warrior 2. So, just like in warrior 1, we want our warrior 2 legs so that the left thigh is coming parallel towards the floor, right pinky toe touching the floor, but at the same time, so is the big toe. Extend arms long, look over your left fingertips. There is a sense of heaviness in the hips, but it's because of the grounding and connection. And that is going to give you a sense of lightness in the upper body. Right arm back for reverse warrior. Now, once you're there, check into the left knee, making sure it didn't collapse. If you're taking a strengthening pose, right arm lifts, and we hold that shape. And now, let's start to move right into side angle. If you need to, of course, you can straighten that left leg for a breath. Otherwise, we come right down, looking for this one line, armpit to the outside of the right foot. So in other words, we're not in this L shape. Right arm comes over the ear if you're adding on, flipping so the palm faces behind you. Thumb is coming towards up, pinky down, and I'm looking underneath my right armpit. If you're adding the left arm, go for it. Inside, outside, whatever feels good to you. All right, so we're in the shape for taking off for half moon. If you use a block, go ahead and grab it. Either way, it's about 18 inches, maybe 24 for some of us, in front of the left foot. Lifting that right leg up, twisting the whole torso to the right, and finding a sense of extension here. If you practice the Chandrachapa, go ahead, bend the right knee and give yourself this beautiful stretch there. Kick it out. Take another big breath. Extend the right leg long, tilt back, pivot toes to the right, wide-legged forward fold. Roll the shoulders up and back, and then just hang for half a breath or a whole breath, finding that place of alignment where we're in between the legs. The legs are just at the right width, rolling the pinky side of the toe without lifting the big toe, and notice how that lifts your arch. And just hang for a breath or two. Placing right hand in the chin line, and then we twist to the left. So as we twist, we're again trying to move shoulders into a stacked place, but not just the shoulder. So I'm not just dislocating my shoulder to get there. I'm twisting from the belly button all the way up to the chest area. Twisting to the left. Finding another breath. Now, release the left hand. Come up just enough to swing the arms behind you, left thumb on top in your interlace. Roll the shoulders up and back here, and then hinge forward. Again, now we don't have our arms to guide us, so we want to be mindful. Coming down, see if you can shift slightly into the toes, not a lot. Lift the kneecaps. Drop the head down, and then play with the idea of letting the arms come off of the back, just a tiny bit. If you go nice and slowly and mindfully, you can hear the wisdom. You'll hear the messages that your body's telling you. Should you go deeper? Should you not? So play with that for another breath or two. And keep the arms behind you as you make your way back up. So our arms are already halfway into the position we want to move into, which is the reverse prayer. If not reverse prayer, remember opposite elbow or hands stay at hips. Roll the shoulders up and back, pivot left. No, look at my right hip, it stayed back there. So I step the right leg out and pivot the toes forward, and that brings that hip with me. Shoulders roll up and back, pull the belly in. Exhale, hinge over the left leg. Now, right away as you start to hinge, if your elbows start to droop forward, that means your shoulders are. So point the elbows up to find that place of expansion in the collarbone as well. Staying right in this shape, it's a beautiful, perfect place to be. Or we bend the left knee. I start to hinge right away. So my chest lifts, my shoulders are above my hips. Then I take the right leg up and I let that right leg fly above my head. You have to keep the left leg bent because you want to arch big into the body. Another big breath. Touch right leg down. We all meet in that same pyramid pose. Let the arms go. Final big stretch. Step it back. Again, knees and forearms. This time, we'll interlace the fingertips and lift up for that kind of dolphin pose. So finding the place, bent knees is fine, where you can get the hips coming almost above the shoulders. And then see if you can play with lifting the right leg up, keeping the right hip down a tiny bit as you lift so we're not twisting to the right. And then lower back down. Let's take the left leg up. So you might have to shimmy forward again. If your hips are way back like a downward facing dog, it's more challenging to get the leg up in a lifted position. Take it back. And now we want to be in half plank, half downward facing dog. So if this were my down dog, I'd step back a little bit. And we'll start to work into the chin push-ups. As you inhale, rock forward as if your chin were going to touch in front of your hands to the floor and then push right back. Pay attention to shoulders here. We'll do two more. Inhale forward, touch the chin if you can. Exhale, take it back. One more time, forward, touch down, and then take it back. Very nice. Let's come into child's pose and we'll swing the arms around us so that the shoulders can absolutely relax here. Just breathing. And then set that phrase into your mind so that this entire weekend you can say it as often as you can remember. May all beings be at ease. And the more you say it, the more it builds that little groove so that it becomes a very natural part of your dialogue. And the more kindness we find towards other beings, the happier we become. So Sylvia Boorstein says that she knows already that her prayers have been answered the first moment she offers metta, loving kindness. Because the prize is that she becomes happier too. Not only is she making someone else happier, but she becomes happier. Because you can't have two stories going on at one time. You can't offer goodness to someone and at the same time feel resentment and anger and want retribution. So by saying, may all beings be at ease, or you make up your own, may all beings be free from suffering. May I love all beings. May I find compassion for all beings. Whatever, it doesn't matter what the phrase is. But by saying that phrase, you've automatically set the tone for your own happiness. All right, if you want to do another vinyasa before we meet on the floor, go for it. Finding your downward facing dog, lowering for chaturanga, up dog, cobra, back into down dog, and then swoop yourself forward, coming into seated position with extended legs. Wide toes here, pulling the toes back. Roll the shoulders up and back, big inhale here. As you exhale, Peace fingers towards the big toes. If they don't meet there, you stop along the way somewhere. Wherever you are, big inhale to lift up halfway. And then exhale, start your hinge forward. Now tap into that ujjayi breath, that wisdom breath, that knowledge breath. Each time you breathe in, what is the message you're receiving? Each time you breathe out, move accordingly. So there will come a day, if it hasn't already, where you hear the message before you injure yourself. And it tells you don't do that, and you say, okay, and you back out. Sometimes it takes many lessons. That's okay. This is why it's called wise effort. There's a lot of effort that goes into being kind, and that includes kindness to our own body. Let's come on up. Extend the hands back. We'll take Purvottanasana, either pointing the toes and lifting straight up for your Purvottanasana, or we bend the knees and lift the hips. Both are good. It's just a stretch for the front side. Make your way back down. We'll move the right leg in for Janu Shirshasana, coming towards the sole of the foot, towards the inner thigh. Inhale for lift. Activate the left toes. So we want to pull the left pinky toe back towards the left hip. Take a slight shift to your left, and then release, hinging forward. And we use the same kind of method in each pose. We breathe in, we listen for the message, and we breathe out, moving accordingly. We'll do 3 more breaths like that. Offering loving kindness not only to other beings, but to ourselves. Making your way back up, let's go ahead and move into Gomukhasana. So you can either just cross the right leg and leave the left leg bent, or unbend that leg and come to full Gomukhasana. Finding the place where the right hip is coming towards the floor, pat yourself on the back with the left hand. Right arm comes around to take hold of the fingertips, or leave the right hand at the sacrum. And maybe today you don't even want to do that. You just want to hold the elbow. Wherever you are, make sure it's in alignment with the truth and the wisdom of your body. Inhale, lift. Exhale, start your hinge forward. Now keep in mind, we don't have our hand on the floor to guide us, so we want to pay special attention here to making sure that we don't hinge too far forward, lifting that right hip up and taking a nosedive. So we keep the right hip planted. That's our base, our connection. And in that connection, we're given this sense of freedom to move. So the more connected you are with the right hip, the more freedom you have to move. And that's what sthira means, stability to the point of tranquility. The more connected you are to that divine wisdom, the more freedom you're given to live this life as you're meant to. Let's come on back. We'll re-straighten the left leg, release the right leg. So it's a little Marichyasana. Make sure that you hinge the left leg forward so that the right hip comes up as you walk inside the right leg. If your knee is dropping way over, then go ahead and tippy-toe your foot out to be in the same line. Right? Ideally, we do hug the knee in. Inhale, lift here. As you exhale, hinge forward. So those of you who bind, feel free to bind. If you are binding, right arm comes in front of the shin, pivots around towards the back. Left arm comes back. The right hand grabs the left here. Try to even out your shoulders, not only to the front of your mat, but to the floor. So in other words, there's no twist to the left on this one. Take another big breath. Coming back up, releasing your bind if you had it. Now hinge back a little bit. Let the left leg lift as you take hold of the pinky side of the foot. Maybe the knee is bent, or maybe you're just holding the knee. Either way, we twist way off to the left, letting the whole torso twist. See if you can look towards the left fingertips, towards the back. And then once you're there, if that's super easy, let the hand and foot go and see if you can hold. Then release down. Extend the leg back into Baddha Konasana. Both soles of the feet coming to each other. Inhale, lift. Exhale, hinge. Working with wisdom breath. And then if it's really easy for you, maybe you add, may all beings be at ease. Make your way back up. We take both legs long this time, wide angle, lift up, exhale, use the floor to resist as you forward fold. Those of you who have trouble here and you find that you roll way back on the sacrum, maybe try bending the knees if you don't have a blanket or something to lift your hips. The knees being wide and bent sometimes can offer a little bit of movement in your pelvis so that you can draw the pelvis forward. And then eventually the legs would straighten. The rest of us were being mindful not to overstretch. So if we roll too far forward, the sitting bones come off the floor, and we don't want that. Making your way back up, we'll take Hanuman to the left. So that may mean right knee to kneeling back into this shape. Some of you I know can just pivot around, and that's fine too. Wherever you are, inhale to lift, finding your shape. If you're in full Hanuman, maybe today you'd like to forward fold. Two more breaths. In your most mindful way, we make our way out of that, extending the right leg long again, feet together, big inhale, roll the shoulders up and back. Exhale, hinge forward. This time we take the sides of our feet. It's almost as if we're pulling the pinky toes back towards the hips where we want them to be anyway. Inhale, lift halfway. Exhale, hinge forward. If your arms aren't long and they don't reach the feet, stop along the way. You still get that same action of pushing in on the sides of your legs. And using your Ujjayi breath. Inhale, is it okay? Exhale, if it is, move forward. If it's not, back it out. One more. Again, we come up for Parivartanasana. Hands come behind, point the toes or bend the knees and lift up. Nice big stretch. Get the hips high and lower back down. All right, left leg comes in, Janu Sirsasana, pulling right pinky toe back. Inhale, lift. Slight shift to the right. Exhale, hinge. Softness in the breath. And then make your way back up. We'll cross the left leg on top for Gomukhasana. So maybe you're leaving the right leg extended or crossing it. Kind of finding a little movement there to make sure that left hip comes down. Pat with the right hand, proper placement with the left hand. Pulling the right tricep toward your face no matter what. Inhale, lift, leading with right elbow. Exhale, hinge forward. Again, we pay close attention here because we don't have our hands to help us on the floor. So without that connection, then our connection becomes the sitting bones, particularly left hip. And in that connection, being so committed to paying attention to that, that we get this freedom to move the rest of our body. Make your way back up, re-extend the right leg. Set the left leg out. We want to take a little tiny forward movement with that right heel so that it allows us to lift the left hip up. Hopefully you can see that. Again, if the knee is dropping off to the left, walk your foot out to meet it. We want the knee looking straight up. Walk inside the left knee. Activate the right feet by pulling the toes back, lifting kneecap right side. Inhale, lift. Exhale, hinge. So perfect place to hang out if you're taking the bind. Left arm sweeps around. It actually takes hold of the right hand behind, but we watch for this. We're not twisting to the right yet. We want to find parallel shoulders to the front of the mat as well as to the floor. Let's take another big breath. As you come up, go ahead and let that left hip down. Reach off to the pinky side of the right foot. So if you can't reach, maybe you bend the knee. If that's still no good, just take hold of the knee with bent leg. extending. We reach the right arm back, the whole torso twisting to the right. Looking at your right hand. If it's easy, release the left. Just hover and hold. Last one. We come back down. Draw both feet into Baddha Konasana. Roll the shoulders up and back. Exhale, hinge forward. Those of you who like the floating pose, of course, you're welcome to take floating pose instead. It's the same thing, except you work the stabilizer muscles. And I find I don't get as much of a forward fold, obviously, as if I were on the floor. But you can still work it. All right, if you were floating, let's come down and everybody hinge forward for half a breath. Make your way back up. We extend the legs long. And again, for this one, we can repeat this coming into this shape, or we can take the floating pose on this one too. Peace fingers to the big toes, extend the legs long, pull the toes back. Again, watch for this. We're not rolling onto the sacrum. We want to make sure we're on the sitting bones, lifting. Maybe you straighten the arms, maybe you arch the back and look up. They're all good. All right, floating people, soft landing as you release the legs down, hinge forward. Everybody takes that little half a breath forward. We make our way back up, moving into Hanuman on the right side. So if you know how to just swivel, that's great. You swivel around and you're there. But if you don't know what I'm talking about, come to kneeling on the left knee, and then the right leg extends. And you work from here. Constantly paying attention to that wisdom inside. And that's why it's called wise effort. It's this constant coming back to paying attention all the time. I know sometimes at night when I'm going over my classes or rehearsing something in my brain, it actually hurts. And I believe that's the effort. Now, they say that knowledge makes a bloody entrance, and you can see that when you're trying to learn something. If you're taking the split fold and you want to do your forward fold, try that. Wherever you are, we'll take that last breath. Rocking off to your right side, releasing whatever way you can. Coming back to legs together. This time, bend the knees. Coming onto your mat for bridge pose. Once you lower down, flip the palms down so they're facing down towards the floor. Walk your hips in even closer. Your heels even closer to your hips. And we start with a little bridge flow. Tuck the pelvis, lift the hips as you roll up to the sky.